An armored cash truck abandoned for nearly half a century is something that instantly sparks curiosity. These trucks were once symbols of security, strength, and untouchable protection. They carried fortunes in currency, gold, or valuable documents, rolling through cities with authority and caution. To find one rusting away in silence after 50 years of neglect feels like uncovering a forgotten chapter of history. The body, once designed to resist bullets, fire, and forced entry, now stands vulnerable to time, weather, and decay. Every dent and every patch of rust tells a story. But instead of being left to collapse into the earth, this armored truck is about to go through a transformation unlike any other, a full restoration that will bring it back to life. At first glance, the truck looks more like a relic from a war zone than a vehicle built for cash transport. The windows are shattered, the metal body eaten away by deep rust, and the wheels flat as stone. Moss has grown across its roof, birds have nested inside, and the strong smell of dampness lingers in the air. For decades, no engine has roared here. For decades, this armored giant has been forgotten. But restorers see more than ruin, they see possibility. The challenge is not only mechanical, but symbolic. Restoring an armored truck isn't like restoring a regular car. It requires precision, patience, and respect for the engineering that made it one of the most secure vehicles of its time. The restoration begins with inspection. Every panel, every bolt, every corner of the armored body is examined. What immediately becomes clear is that corrosion has eaten far deeper than expected. 50 years of rain and dust have fused parts together. Hinges won't move, locks are frozen. The safe compartment, once unbreakable, is now sealed by rust. This is not just a project, it's a battle between time and craftsmanship. Cutting tools are brought in to carefully free the locks, not to destroy them but to make them functional again. The restorers remind themselves that this is not just about getting the truck running. It is about preserving the identity of the armored beast. Once the outer shell is studied, the attention shifts to the engine bay. Opening the hood reveals silence turned into dust. The engine is seized, the belts long gone, wires chewed by rodents, and oil turned into hardened tar. Nothing here can start with a simple spark. This is where the heart of restoration lies, rebuilding the engine from scratch. Every nut and bolt has to be removed, every part catalogued, every damaged component either restored or replaced. The engine block is carefully lifted out, revealing its true size and power, even in its ruined state. The team knows that bringing this engine back will take weeks of effort, but without it, the armored truck will never roar again. Before the rebuild, the truck must be stripped to its bones. Seats are removed, carpets torn away, broken glass collected, and layers of dirt vacuumed out. What remains is a bare armored shell, cold, metallic, and intimidating. This is the essence of the machine. Its thickness reminds everyone why these vehicles were once untouchable. Even after decades, bullets cannot pierce these panels. But rust has found its way, and welding becomes the next stage. Panels are cut, replaced, and strengthened. Sparks fly as new life is welded into the body. The sound of grinding fills the air, turning rough steel into smooth surfaces again. The wheels and suspension are equally challenging. Half a century of weight has forced the tires deep into the earth. Removing them is no easy task. The rims are cracked, the rubber is unusable, and the suspension arms are locked with rust. But with fire, oil, and force, the bolts are freed. And the old wheels are finally taken off. New heavy-duty tires are chosen, ones capable of carrying the armored body for decades to come. The suspension is rebuilt, shocks replaced, and springs restored to factory strength. Slowly, the armored truck begins to stand tall again, its frame no longer sunken, but proud. While the mechanics continue, the attention of another team turns to the interior. Inside an armored cash truck, everything was built for security. The driver sat behind reinforced doors, the guards locked inside compartments, and the safe at the rear protected the treasure. Now, the interior is nothing more than rust and broken parts. Seats are torn, the dashboard cracked, the steering wheel stiff. Restoration means not just replacing but recreating. Leather is chosen to match the era. The dashboard is rebuilt with both authenticity and modern functionality. The steering system is disassembled and greased until it moves like new. Piece by piece, the cabin starts to look alive again. The safe at the back presents another challenge. After 50 years, the lock no longer works, and the door is sealed shut. No one knows what's inside, likely nothing, but the process of reopening it feels like unlocking the past. Cutting tools, hammers, and patience eventually succeed. When the door swings open, only emptiness and dust greet the restorers. But that emptiness is symbolic. It means the armored truck has finally released its secrets and is ready for a new chapter. The safe is cleaned, polished, and its locking system repaired to full working order. Now it once again feels unbreakable, just as it was designed to be. Step by step, change after change, the forgotten armored truck begins to transform. Where there was once silence, now there is noise. Where there was rust, now there is shine. Where there was weakness, now there is strength. And yet, this is only the beginning. The restoration still has miles to go before the final reveal, but already the armored giant is awakening from its 50-year sleep. With the armored truck's structure beginning to take shape, attention now shifts to the most complex and time-consuming part of any restoration, the engine. What was once a powerhouse capable of hauling tons of weight is now little more than a block of corroded metal. Decades of neglect have fused pistons, clogged oil channels, and left the crankshaft immovable. For many, the sight would mean surrender. But in restoration, surrender isn't an option. The team commits to bringing the heart of this armored machine back to life. The engine is dismantled piece by piece. Each part is laid out on a clean bench, tagged, and evaluated. The cylinder head is cracked, the valves are burnt, and the carburetor is beyond repair. But instead of discarding everything, restorers analyze what can be rebuilt. The block itself, though scarred by rust, is still solid enough to be saved. It is sent to be pressure washed, sandblasted, and machined until the walls shine like new. New pistons are forged, bearings replaced, and a fresh crankshaft sourced. Slowly, the pieces of the puzzle begin to return, one by one, until the engine once again looks like a power plant worthy of carrying a fortress on wheels. While the engine rebuild is underway, focus moves toward the armored body's aesthetics. For 50 years, the truck's paint has faded from strong industrial gray to a dull, rusty brown. Stripping begins, layer after layer of paint and corrosion peeled away with grinders, sanders, and chemical baths. What emerges is raw steel, thick and unyielding. It feels almost like sculpting a monument rather than restoring a vehicle. The team debates, should the truck return to its original military-style gray, or should it wear a fresh, modern coat to symbolize its rebirth? Eventually, a decision is made to blend tradition with renewal, a two-tone finish combining deep matte black with metallic silver. This will not only respect its original design but also give it a striking new identity. Painting an armored truck is unlike painting a car. The surface area is massive, the thickness demanding multiple coats, and every weld must be sealed to prevent future rust. Primer is laid down, then layer after layer of carefully sprayed paint. The final result is breathtaking. What was once a decaying hulk now gleams with authority, its matte black sides reflecting strength and its silver edges adding sharp definition. The armored truck looks intimidating again, but this time with elegance. Meanwhile, the engine returns from machining and is reassembled. Fresh oil flows through newly cleaned channels. Belts are installed, spark plugs replaced, and wiring completely redone with modern insulation. For weeks, the team prepares for this moment, the first attempt to start the engine after half a century. The battery is connected, fuel lines primed, and silence fills the garage as everyone waits. The key is turned, and at first, nothing. Then, with a cough and a roar, the armored beast comes alive. Thick smoke fills the air, the ground vibrates, and cheers erupt. The truck's heart beats again, louder than the silence of the past 50 years. This moment alone makes every hour of work worth it. The sound of the engine marks a turning point. Now the team can focus on functionality. The braking system, completely corroded, is replaced with heavy-duty discs and reinforced hydraulics. Safety is critical, this is no ordinary truck, and stopping power must match its weight. Fuel lines are rebuilt, electrical systems rewired, and lighting upgraded with modern LEDs while keeping the original casing for authenticity. Step by step, the armored truck shifts from being a relic to becoming a usable, roadworthy machine once more. Inside the cabin, transformation continues. Gone are the broken, torn seats. In their place come handcrafted leather chairs with reinforced stitching, paying homage to the truck's original utilitarian style but adding comfort for the modern driver. The dashboard, once cracked and faded, is reconstructed. Classic dials return, but behind them lies modern wiring for accuracy. The steering column is polished, and the wheel wrapped in leather. Even small details, like door handles and lock mechanisms, are refurbished until they shine. The interior, once a place of decay, now feels alive, functional, protective, and surprisingly luxurious for an armored vehicle. The rear compartment, once the truck's most sacred space, receives equal attention. Walls are lined with reinforced plating, polished and restored to full strength. The vault door, now operational, swings shut with a satisfying, thunderous thud. Its locking mechanism has been rebuilt to work as perfectly as the day it was forged. Though no treasure will ride inside, the compartment itself is treasure enough. It stands as a testament to human craftsmanship, capable of withstanding almost anything. The truck has regained its purpose, not to carry cash, but to showcase endurance. No restoration is complete without challenges. During testing, the transmission begins to slip. Decades of inactivity have left internal components weak, and a full rebuild is required. This unexpected setback forces the team to pause, dismantle, and rebuild once again. New gears are machined, clutches replaced, and seals reinforced. It costs both time and patience, but there is no alternative. An armored truck that cannot shift its massive weight is useless. After weeks of effort, the transmission finally responds smoothly, delivering power to the wheels with confidence. With the mechanical system stabilized, attention returns to the details that elevate a restoration from good to unforgettable. The armored glass, shattered decades ago, is replaced with modern bullet-resistant panels, giving the truck both safety and authenticity. Exterior fixtures like sirens, mirrors, and lights are restored to period-correct style. Even the small armored gun ports are cleaned and polished, reminding everyone that this was not just a vehicle but a mobile fortress. As the restoration nears completion, the truck undergoes testing. On its first roll outside the garage, sunlight hits its fresh paint, and the heavy tires crush gravel beneath. The engine growls, the brakes hold, and the steering responds with surprising smoothness. For the first time in 50 years, the armored truck moves under its own power, commanding attention wherever it goes. Pedestrians stop and stare, some taking photos, others simply in awe. It looks less like a machine and more like a piece of history reborn. Yet, the journey is not finished. While the truck is operational, the final stage remains, giving it a unique identity that reflects both its past and its new life. Some restorers would stop here, but this team chooses to go further, adding subtle modern touches that make the truck not just restored, but reimagined. Custom badges are designed, polished steel accents added, and discreet interior lighting installed. The result is a balance between raw power, historical respect, and modern artistry. The once abandoned armored cash truck is no longer forgotten. It is alive, reborn, and stronger than ever. And yet, the most powerful change is not in its steel, paint, or engine, it is in the story it now carries. A story of survival, resilience, and transformation. A truck built to protect wealth has now become wealth itself, a priceless symbol of history brought back from the dead. Dash dash dash. Dash dash dash. The restoration of the abandoned armored truck has reached a point where it no longer looks like a wreck but a resurrected machine. Yet, restoration is not complete until the vehicle proves itself under real conditions. A test drive is the moment of truth, the bridge between nostalgia and reality. It is one thing to rebuild an engine, weld panels, or repaint surfaces, but it is another to trust that everything will hold together once the armored beast is rolling at full weight on the road. The first test begins cautiously. The truck is taken to an empty stretch of land, away from traffic, where the team can monitor every movement. The engine fires up with confidence, its deep growl reverberating against the concrete walls. The gears engage smoothly, and the massive truck inches forward. At first, the pace is slow, almost ceremonial, as though the machine is stretching its legs after half a century of silence. Every bolt, every weld, every mechanical adjustment is under scrutiny. The suspension creaks slightly but holds. The brakes engage with strength. The wheels, brand new but bearing enormous weight, grip the surface steadily. The armored truck is alive again. As the speed increases, excitement builds. For a machine that was abandoned and nearly ridden off as scrap, the feeling of motion is overwhelming. The steering, rebuilt from scratch, responds with surprising agility. The engine's roar grows louder, but not unstable, more like a beast announcing its return. Dust kicks up from the ground, and for the first time in decades, the armored truck is free. The test run lasts an hour, with multiple stops and starts, sharp turns, and sudden braking. At the end of it, the verdict is clear: the restoration has succeeded. The truck is not just functional, it is powerful. However, no test drive is free of surprises. Small oil leaks appear around the valve covers, and the brakes, though strong, heat up faster than expected. These details are not failures but reminders that restoration is a process of refinement. Back in the workshop, adjustments are made, gaskets replaced, cooling systems fine-tuned, and brake lines reinforced. These final tweaks turn the armored truck from merely operational to fully reliable, capable of handling long drives and heavy stress. For a vehicle weighing several tons, such reliability is non-negotiable. The next challenge is the road test among traffic. Here, the armored truck becomes more than a machine, it becomes a presence. As it rolls through city streets, people stop and stare. Its sheer size dwarfs regular cars, its matte black and silver paint shimmering under the sun. Children point, drivers slow down, and pedestrians pull out phones to capture the sight. This is not just another vehicle, it is a rolling monument to resilience. 50 years ago, this truck carried cash, gold, or secrets. Today, it carries something just as valuable, a story of revival. The reaction from the public is mixed but powerful. Older onlookers see it as a reminder of the past, when armored trucks like these symbolized both security and authority. Younger people view it as a piece of cinematic history, something straight out of a heist movie or an action thriller. Either way, it sparks conversation, curiosity, and admiration. The restorers realize they have not just rebuilt a truck, they have reignited fascination with an entire era of armored transport. But restoration is not only about appearance or mechanical reliability. It is also about understanding cultural significance. An armored cash truck is not a luxury car or a racing machine. It represents trust, responsibility, and sometimes even fear. For decades, these trucks were symbols of untouchable protection. They were designed to withstand bullets, fire, and explosions, and their very presence meant that something of great value was inside. Restoring one after 50 years is more than a technical achievement, it is like breathing life into a forgotten symbol of society's relationship with money, power, and security. This realization inspires the restorers to add another layer to the project. Instead of stopping at technical perfection, they begin to integrate educational and symbolic elements. Panels are polished not just to shine but to highlight their strength. Small plaques are added, documenting the truck's original purpose, year of manufacture, and restoration journey. Inside the cabin, a hidden compartment is preserved, showing the original engineering tricks used to keep valuables safe. The restored armored truck is no longer just a vehicle, it is now part history lesson, part museum piece, and part modern machine. Of course, not everyone views the restoration positively. Some critics argue that bringing back a cash truck glorifies a tool once used to guard wealth that ordinary people rarely touched. Others see it as impractical, a heavy, fuel-consuming machine with little everyday use. But for those who understand restoration, the answer is simple, it is not about practicality, but preservation. Just as castles, ships, or airplanes are restored to remind us of history, so too are armored trucks. Their existence shaped how societies transported and protected wealth, and forgetting them would mean erasing part of industrial and cultural history. With functionality proven and cultural significance understood, the armored truck's final transformation is aesthetic personalization. Modern upgrades are added, carefully balanced to respect authenticity while enhancing usability. A discrete sound system is installed, allowing modern music without spoiling the classic look. GPS tracking is hidden beneath the dashboard, ensuring the truck can navigate today's roads with ease. Air conditioning, once absent, is integrated seamlessly, making the cabin comfortable even during long drives. The restorers' philosophy is clear: honor the past, embrace the present. The finishing touch is branding. A custom logo is created, combining the silhouette of the armored truck with bold lettering that reads, "Reborn after 50 years." This emblem is placed subtly on the rear doors, not as a boast but as a signature of revival. Whenever the truck appears at exhibitions, car shows, or even casual public drives, people will immediately understand the journey it has taken, from abandonment to resurrection. The emotional weight of this project cannot be overstated. For the restorers, this armored truck is not just another job. It is a battle against decay, a statement about resilience, and a chance to create something larger than themselves. Every scratch they repaired, every bolt they tightened, and every panel they polished brought them closer to reviving a legend. By the time the truck is officially unveiled, complete with polished paint, restored mechanics, and a deep roaring engine, it feels less like a machine and more like a triumph. And perhaps the most powerful part of the story is the symbolism of change. A truck once feared, once designed to protect wealth at all costs, is now celebrated openly by the public. Where people once saw steel walls guarding treasure, they now see craftsmanship, engineering, and history. The armored truck no longer hides riches inside, it is the treasure itself. The restoration journey of the abandoned armored cash truck is nearly complete, but every masterpiece deserves a finale. This project has been about more than steel, paint, and horsepower, it has been about memory, legacy, and transformation. The last stage is not about fixing or rebuilding. It is about presenting the armored truck in a way that captures its new identity while honoring its past. The final reveal will turn this once forgotten machine into an icon once again. The grand unveiling is set at an industrial exhibition ground, a place where enthusiasts, historians, and the general public can witness the armored truck reborn. Preparation begins days in advance. The truck is polished until every panel gleams under the light. Tires are dressed, glass is crystal clear, and the interior cleaned until not a speck of dust remains. The restored vault door is left slightly open, allowing visitors to peek inside at the reinforced plating and locks. The team wants people to not only see the truck but also feel the weight of its history. When the day arrives, anticipation fills the air.